What is your preferred study technique?
I don't exactly have a preferred one, but I think the one that's worked best for me over the years is summarizing. I usually just go through, highlight what I think is necessary to know, and then I'll write it down, because they say writing down is better than reading over. So I'll write it down and then I'll study what I've summarized.
Preferred study technique?
Okay, so for me, usually a visual aid helps me quite a lot because I'm a visual learner. So if I have to see like a blank card just with writing, that's quite overwhelming. So I usually use photos and pictures and just visual things to like stimulate my brain. And I also like to talk out the information. So especially when it comes to learning subjects, I'll usually like just discuss it, even if it's just with myself and I sound like a very strange person. I usually just talk it out and like try and engage with the content.
What's your preferred study technique?
So I like asking myself questions. So I write all the questions on my whiteboard and then I answer those, and then from that I can see what I don't know.
What is your preferred study technique?
The technique that I prefer would be summarizing my work and then like kind of reading over it and then making summaries of my summaries, just so that I can like gain a better understanding of how much I've actually learned and like how much I have left to learn and stuff. So then while making summaries of my summaries, I kind of get to pinpoint where I need to improve or like learn more of.
So rereading is a study technique whereby you reread the information continuously until you feel you understand it. The science behind it is that the information actually gets encoded into your brain, but there's also studies that have shown that it's actually not that effective when you're studying. So as a tip, what we suggest is basically just to have intervals between your rereading sessions in order to make it a little bit more effective. The auditory approach is a study technique whereby you learn through listening. So some examples of these include listening to previous tutorials or lectures, listening to podcasts, or certain YouTube tutorials. So while the auditory approach has been proven to be very effective, there's also a lot of criticism that says that what we're listening to is actually not credible. So one of the tips that I would give is to make sure that the sources that you're listening to is actually legitimate, and also that there are no open tabs while you're listening to it, so that you don't get distracted.
So the visual approach is a study technique whereby one learns through seeing by the use of diagrams, pictures, mind maps, etc. The study behind it is that it helps visualize the link between concepts, and the critique is that it only works for certain subjects, mainly theory-based subjects. Self-testing or practice testing is a study technique where one learns through testing themselves or being tested by others. So this doesn't have to be in an actual test setting. You can test yourself in your mind or use flashcards or quiz each other in groups. This technique is praised by learning experts because it triggers your long-term memory. So the tip to make this study technique more effective would be to let some time pass between testing and retesting.
Summarization is a study technique that is popular among students who have large amounts of information they need to learn from. They do this to make it easier for themselves to understand the information. They do this using mind maps, the bullet point summarizing, and paragraph summarizing. The tips that you can use in order to make this study technique manageable or effective for you: you can read your text twice if you need to and understand it. Select main ideas from the text and use small sentences to make the text understandable and short for you. Some critiques of summarization are that it mostly works for theory-based subjects, and that it doesn't always work for multiple choice questions or tests that rely on you to remember concepts.
What is your preferred study technique?
Wow.
Technique is summarizing. I usually
Study techniques,
Study technique whereby you repeat you learn the information.
Self-testing or practice testing with